Adventist vegetarian diabetics. Prove all things, hold fast that which is good. Trust in divine power. Law of health, number 8. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Proverbs 3, verse 5. This one, of course, as presented by Weimar, is fully religious, Christian, and Seventh-day Adventist. But, like the other 7 principles of health, this one is not limited to Christians. Members of any faith community need a support system they can trust, whether it is a deity or a philosophy. So do people who don't believe in a God of any kind. For some, stress levels are reduced when they separate themselves from organized religion. Others reduce stress levels by immersing themselves in spiritual practices. All diabetics, whether or not they believe in a God, need to reduce stress levels in their life as much as possible, because stress is the number 1 non-food factor in high blood sugar. Stress and diabetes. Many times, a member will post out of their frustration with high blood glucose numbers when they cannot see what food they might have eaten to cause such high numbers. Writer Katie Gear says, whether it's related to work, to relationships, or to some other aspect of your life, research has continually shown that emotional stress can cause blood sugar to surge. Non-diabetics who don't have insulin resistance will respond to stress with a rise in insulin, which effectively brings down any rise in blood sugar caused by stress. We diabetics do not respond well to stress, and do experience significant high blood sugars. Therefore, it is vital that we do everything we can to avoid as much stress as possible, and figure out how to lower stress when we can't avoid it. One writer concurs: emotional stress, fear, anxiety, anger, excitement, tension, and physiological stress, illness, pain, infection, injury, cause the body to secrete stress hormones into the bloodstream. For those of us with diabetes, stress can cause a significant and prolonged increase in the blood sugar level. Dr. Jason Fung says, one final thought about stress relief. It's always a little amazing to me how far organized religion is ahead of the game. Think about the practices they preach. Prayer, similar to meditation. Belief in a higher power, confession, stress relief. Weekly ceremonies, like Mass, sense of community and continuity, important for stress relief. Small group sessions, friendship, and sense of belonging, stress relief. Fasting. Yes, fasting. All of these practices that are so important for good health have been established thousands of years ago. Ultimately, the healthiest patients are those who can take care of themselves well, body and soul. Faith, prayer, and fasting. I think it's significant that Ellen White used the words trust in divine power, not trust in God, even though we believe that's what she meant. But I also believe her choice of words was providential, so that this phrase can apply to all religions who teach belief in a divine power, whether Jehovah, Yahweh, Jeshua, Allah, Great Spirit, Higher Power, or any other names. Even atheists, who deny the existence of any deities, place their trust in something, like humanism, or someone, even if it's themselves. One atheist said, one does not need to believe in God for prayer to work. He also says, prayer for the atheist can be like singing in the car or in the shower. No one is listening, and that is just fine. Dr. Arlene Taylor, brain function specialist, says, prayer is a form of meditation. The frontal cortex lights up during prayer, according to Candace Piepert, Ph.D., INH researcher. She further says, the greatest benefits of prayer and meditation may accrue to the brain that is actually doing the praying. Depression. Unmitigated stress can often lead to depression in both diabetics and non-diabetics, but diabetics are 3 times more likely to be affected by depression. Tim Poirier wrote in the Adventist Review, "What counsel did Ellen White give to those suffering under depression, and how did she herself cope with such feelings? She learned that support from family and friends can be invaluable. Ellen also recommended the benefits of outdoor activity, gardening, enjoying nature, and simply praising God. I discovered shortly after I started eating low carb in 2015 that most antidepressants elevate blood sugar. And, with a low carb way of eating, I have less intense and fewer episodes of depression. A new theory called the immune cytokine model of depression holds that depression is not a disease itself, but instead a multifaceted sign of chronic immune system activation. Writer Chris Kresser's #1 advice is to adopt an anti-inflammatory diet and lifestyle. This means eating a nutrient-dense, whole foods diet, getting enough sleep, managing stress, engaging in appropriate, not too little or too much, physical activity, and nourishing your gut. Gratitude and forgiveness. This brings me to the two most effective ways of combating depression: gratitude and forgiveness. I have kept a gratitude journal since November 2018. My only goal is to write one gratitude a day, though occasionally I do more than one. I keep a full record of them in Microsoft OneNote. Dr. Arlene Taylor explains, the antidote for anger, fear, and sadness is gratitude, because only one core emotion can be processed at a time. Being thankful, joy, cannot coexist simultaneously in the brain with anger, fear, or sadness. Many have more trouble with practicing forgiveness, especially when facing job loss or relationships that have ended. One practitioner wrote, participants in FT, forgiveness therapy, experienced significantly greater improvement than AT, alternative treatment, participants in depression. Finally, from Johns Hopkins Medicine, studies have found that the act of forgiveness can reap huge rewards for your health, lowering the risk of heart attack, improving cholesterol levels and sleep, and reducing pain, blood pressure, and levels of anxiety, depression, and stress. And research points to an increase in the forgiveness health connection as you age. Mindful breathing. In 2018, I was in a 5-week outpatient pain management program at Kaiser. It was in that program that I learned to practice mindful breathing, or, as pain psychologist, Dr. Julie Whitehead, called it, belly breathing. Then Francis, the pain physical therapist, conducted what he called gentle movement exercises, and he incorporated mindful breathing into the routines he taught us. Since 2018, mindful breathing has become very second nature to me. I use it while doing my physical therapy exercises at home, often at bedtime to wind down before sleep, and any time I start feeling stressed. Perhaps the most confirming source is from Weimar's New Start YouTube channel, in which Dr. Neil Nedley, president of Weimar Center of Health and Education, promotes mindful breathing, although he is very careful to not describe it with those words. Meditation. Closely related to mindful breathing is the practice of meditation, in particular, guided meditation. Dr. Arlene Taylor calls it mindfulness meditation, which is meditation on a specific concept or mantra. The purpose of meditation is to train our brains to live in the moment. In this way, stress is reduced by eliminating guilt over the past, or worry about the future. Dr. Taylor says, mindfulness is the practice of spending a few minutes each day in the present moment. In the pain management program, Dr. Whitehead would often have us imagine we were in a specific place, like a beach or a rainforest, and use all our senses to focus on the sights, sounds, and smells of that place. Other times, we would do a body scan, starting with either our feet or head, move up or down, and focus on how each body part feels at that moment. Researchers at Harvard's Osher Research Center found that people who practiced meditation were able to adjust the brain wave that screens out distractions more quickly than those that did not meditate. This ability to ignore distractions could explain why these meditators were seen to have a superior ability to rapidly remember and incorporate new facts. Meditation not only provides an effective way to better manage stress and diabetes, it also helps explain why meditators are better able to ignore distractions and experience increased cognition. The late Frederick Buechner, a Presbyterian minister, explained it this way. The end of meditation is to become empty enough to be filled with the kind of stillness the psalmist has in mind when he says, "Be still, and know that I am God." Psalm 46 verse 10. John T. McClarty, a retired Adventist pastor in the Northwest United States, wrote this on April 4, 2018. I have practiced Christian meditation daily for 12 years. The critics of meditation are correct. Meditation is a threat to their soteriology. The critics fret that meditation will soften our hatred of sin and sinners. Meditation might lead us to imagine that access to heaven is more aptly pictured as the seeking shepherd than as a guarded password-protected gate. Meditation might lead us to exaggerate grace and divine affection, and the transforming power God will practice at the last day. I testify the critics are right. All these things have happened to me. And even worse, I am not sorry. Search YouTube for videos of guided meditations, ranging in length from a few minutes to a half hour or more. If you prefer, you can search specifically for videos on Christian meditation. Music. Music, either as a background for guided meditation or just listening to by itself, is a great way to relieve stress, especially on Friday night and Sabbath. Classical music has also been shown to reduce stress levels. Classical music can be an antidepressant. A scientific paper titled, Effects of Music Therapy and Music-Assisted Relaxation and Imagery on Health-Related Outcomes in Diabetes Education, a feasibility study, concluded, collaboration between diabetes educators and board-certified music therapists is recommended. Finally, a study in the diabetes educator of 199 people with diabetes, or prediabetes, found lowered blood pressure in those who added music therapy to their self-management. Music strengthens the immune system. An article in Medical News Today showed that music increases an antibody that plays an important role in immunity. Listening to music reduces levels of stress hormones, such as cortisol. But we don't have to understand all the scientific reasons music relieves stress to just know that it does, and to use it freely. Nature? I think we all agree with Alexandria Becker, who says, going to the beach can help reduce feelings of depression. Woods, mountains, deserts, and even tree-lined city streets, and suburban neighborhoods, all have their beauty. Lining city streets with trees reduces physiological symptoms of stress in humans. Spend as much time as you can in the presence of trees. The forest is our natural habitat. Even spending 20 minutes outside is far superior to any kind of antidepressant pill. Taking a nature pill of spending 20 minutes a day outdoors can help to lower cortisol levels. And if you can't get outdoors for activities in nature, but you want more than the visualization that guided meditation can provide, watching quality nature documentaries is of significant value. A recent study has found that tuning into nature documentaries can have an immediate impact on increasing happiness and reducing overall stress. Finally, these aspects of stress relief are perfectly coordinated with taking one day a week to unplug. Taking one day of your week, and dedicating it to rest, will force you to have an identity outside of your occupation. 1 day of rest. The Judeo-Christian spiritual practice of Shabbat is, of course, central to Seventh-day Adventism, and is one aspect that sets it apart from most other Protestant denominations. Shabbat, also known as Sabbath, is the day of the week reserved for rest and worship in Judaism and Christianity. And there's some science to support the idea that practicing a day of rest, including time away from social media and digital devices, benefits longevity and both mental and physical health. But observing 1 day of rest a week is more than a spiritual practice of many world religions, it is also a scientifically documented phenomenon. One of those is that a full 24-hour day of doing nothing promotes stress relief, which will result in lower blood sugars. We already know that work is stressful. In addition, studies show that time sitting, as most of us do at work, influences inflammatory markers even in the absence of elevated blood glucose, obesity, or heart disease. Emily Miller writes in Religion News, "I think Sabbath can take lots of different shapes, but the idea is that we step out of what we're doing every day, like the normal routine stuff, in order to make meaning. So trust in the power and processes of stress relief, regardless of who or what you identify as your divine power. And trust in divine power." Visit our website at AdventistVegetarianDiabetics.com. Follow our blog at AdventistVegetarianDiabetics.com/blog posts. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@AdventistVegetarianDiabetics. Copyright by Adventist Vegetarian Diabetics.